The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest building in the known universe. It stood at the center of Nexus Prime, a planet that served as the capital of all intelligent species. The hall could hold 10,000 beings at once. Its walls were made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. The ceiling reached so high that clouds sometimes formed inside. On this day, representatives from 47 species filled the seats. They came in all shapes and sizes. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some had no solid form at all. They spoke different languages, but translation devices made communication possible. At the center of the hall stood a small platform. This was where speakers addressed the council. Today, a human stood there alone. Captain Tay was 35 years old. He had short black hair and calm dark eyes. He wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. Compared to the colorful robes and shining armor of other species, he looked plain, almost boring. But Tay was not boring. He was one of humanity's best diplomats. He had spent 15 years learning about alien cultures. He spoke 7 galactic languages without a translator. He understood how politics worked across the stars. Today, he needed all of that skill. Honored members of the council, Tay began. His voice was steady. I come before you to discuss the blockade of human colonies in the Outer Rim. A sound like laughter came from the upper seats. It was Ambassador Vorn of the Kalari Empire. Vorn was a tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms. His species had been part of galactic civilization for 8,000 years. They considered themselves superior to everyone else. The human wishes to discuss the blockade, Vorn said loudly. How touching. More laughter followed. Tay did not react. He kept his face blank. The blockade is illegal under galactic law, Tay continued. Article 7 clearly states that no species may restrict the movement of another species without council approval. Council approval was given, said High Chancellor Mira. She was the leader of the council, an ancient being made of pure energy. Her voice echoed through the hall. The vote was 43-4. The vote was based on false information, Tay said. The Kalari claimed that human ships attacked their trade vessels. This is not true. We have provided evidence showing that the attacks were staged. Vorn stood up from his seat. His 4 arms spread wide in a gesture of offense. The human calls us liars, he said. This is typical of their kind. Primitive, aggressive, untrustworthy. Tay looked directly at Vorn. I call no one a liar. I simply present facts. The evidence is clear. The weapon signatures on the damaged ships do not match any human technology. Your technology is so crude that it leaves no recognizable signatures, Vorn replied. This proves nothing. The council members nodded in agreement. Tay noticed this. He had expected it. Humanity had only been part of galactic civilization for 50 years. They were the youngest species by far. No one took them seriously. Perhaps, Tay said slowly, the council does not understand humanity as well as it thinks. Vorn laughed again. We understand you perfectly. Your species spent most of its history fighting among itself. You nearly destroyed your own planet with pollution and nuclear weapons. You have no great achievements, no ancient wisdom. You are children pretending to sit at the adult table. Tay felt anger rise in his chest, but he had been trained to control his emotions. He took a slow breath. Children grow, he said quietly, and sometimes they surprise their elders. Is that a threat? Vorn asked. His voice became sharp. It is a fact. High Chancellor Mira raised one glowing limb. The hall fell silent. Captain Tay, she said, the council has reviewed the evidence you submitted. We find it unconvincing. The blockade will continue until humanity agrees to pay compensation for the attacked ships. Tay nodded slowly. And if we refuse to pay? For crimes we did not commit? Then your colonies will remain isolated, Myra said. No trade, no supplies, no contact with the rest of the galaxy. This is the decision of the Council. Tay looked around the Great Hall. He saw 47 species watching him. Some looked bored. Some looked amused. A few looked sympathetic, but they were too afraid to speak. He thought about the 12 million humans living in the Outer Rim colonies. They had food stores for 6 months. After that, people would begin to starve. Children would die first. Then the elderly. Then everyone else. The Council knew this. They did not care. May I speak freely? Tay asked. Mira made a gesture that meant yes. For 50 years, Tay said, humanity has tried to be a good member of galactic civilization. We followed every rule. We respected every tradition. We accepted insults and discrimination without complaint. We believed that if we proved ourselves, we would eventually be accepted. He paused. The hall was completely silent now. But I see now that this was a mistake. The Council does not want humanity to be accepted. The Council wants humanity to remain weak and dependent. The blockade is not about justice. It is about control. Careful, human, Vorn warned. Your words come close to treason. Treason against whom? Tay asked. Against the Council that ignores evidence. Against species that call us primitive while knowing nothing about us? Against a system that punishes the innocent? He shook his head slowly. No, I am not the traitor here. Vorn's blue skin turned darker with anger. You dare to insult this Council? Your species should be grateful that we even allow you to exist. Tay smiled. It was a cold smile that did not reach his eyes. Allow us to exist, he repeated. Interesting choice of words. What is that supposed to mean? Myra asked. Tay reached into his pocket. Several Council guards raised their weapons. But Tay only pulled out a small data crystal. He held it up for everyone to see. Before I came. Here today, he said, I was given a message by my government. I was told to deliver it only if the Council refused to lift the blockade. What message? Myra asked. Tay placed the crystal on the platform. A holographic image appeared above it. It showed Earth, the small blue planet where humanity began. For 50 years, Tay said, humanity has shown the galaxy a certain face, a weak face, a primitive face. We allowed you to believe that we were backward and harmless. He pressed a button on the crystal. The image changed. Now it showed something else. Something impossible. It was a ship. But not like any ship the Council had ever seen. It was massive, at least 10 kilometers long. Its surface was smooth and black, without any visible weapons or engines. It seemed to absorb the light around it. This is the HS Silent Fury, Tay said. One of 12 ships in Earth's hidden fleet. The hall erupted in noise. Council members shouted questions. Guards moved closer to Tay. Vorn was on his feet, his forearms waving wildly. Impossible! Vorn screamed. Humans do not have such technology. You assumed we did not have such technology. Tay corrected him. There is a difference. Myra raised her limbs again. The noise died down slowly. Explain this, she demanded. It is simple, Tay said. When humanity first made contact with galactic civilization, we realized something important. The galaxy is not fair. The strong survive. The weak are exploited. We saw how other young species were treated. Conquered. Enslaved. Destroyed. He looked at each council member in turn. We decided that would not happen to us. So while we pretended to be primitive, we worked in secret. We studied the technology we were given. We improved it. We created things that no other species has ever imagined. This is a bluff, Warren said. But his voice was less certain now. Perhaps, Tay said. But can you afford to take that risk? He turned back to Myra. High Chancellor, I deliver humanity's message. You have 3 standard days to lift the blockade. If you do not, we will lift it ourselves, and the galaxy will see what humanity can truly do." The silence in the hall was absolute. No one moved. No one spoke. Tay bowed politely. "Thank you for your time. I will return in 3 days for your answer." He turned and walked toward the exit. His footsteps echoed in the silent hall. Every eye followed him. At the door, he paused and looked back. "One more thing," he said. "I suggest you do not try to stop me from leaving. It would be unwise." Then he walked out. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the hall exploded into chaos. Council members argued and shouted. Some demanded that Tay be arrested. Others called for investigations. A few suggested that maybe, just maybe, they should consider the human's request. Vorn pushed his way to Myra's side. "This is clearly a trick," he said. "Humans cannot have such technology. Their planet's resources are limited. Their scientific history is short. It is impossible." "Perhaps," Myra said slowly, "but the image looked very real. It was fake, computer-generated. A desperate attempt to frighten us." Myra considered this. She had lived for 10,000 years. She had seen many species rise and fall. She had learned to recognize danger, but she had also learned to trust her allies. And the Kalari had been allies for millennia. "You are probably right," she said finally, "but we should investigate. Send scouts to human space. Find out if this ship exists." "And the blockade?" Vorn asked. Myra made a dismissive gesture. "The blockade remains. We will not be threatened by primitives." Vorn smiled. It was a cruel smile. "I agree completely." 3 days later, Captain Tay stood on the bridge of the Silent Fury. The ship floated in the darkness of space, invisible to all sensors. Around it, 100 Council warships guarded N. The Silent Fury appeared in the sky above Nexus Prime, like a shadow becoming solid. One moment, there was nothing. The next moment, 10 kilometers of black metal hung in orbit, blocking out the stars. On the planet below, people looked up and screamed. Admiral Crix of the Kalari fleet was the first military commander to respond. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Victory, staring at his sensor displays in disbelief. "What is that thing?" he demanded. "Where did it come from?" His sensor officer, a young Kalari with shaking hands, tried to answer. "Sir, I do not know." One moment the space was empty. The next moment, this ship was there. It did not jump in through hyperspace. It did not approach from any direction. It simply appeared. "That is impossible," Crix said. "I know, sir." But it happened. Crix grabbed the edge of his command chair. He had served in the Kalari Navy for 40 years. He had fought in 3 wars. He had seen technology from dozens of species. But he had never seen anything like this. The human ship was completely black. Not dark gray. Not charcoal. True black, like a hole cut in the fabric of space. Its surface had no features that he could identify. No weapon ports. No engine exhausts. No windows or airlocks. It was smooth and perfect, like a piece of polished obsidian, and it was massive. His own flagship was 2 kilometers long, one of the largest warships in the galaxy. The human ship was 5 times that size. "All ships form defensive positions around Nexus Prime," Crix ordered. "Weapons ready. Do not fire until I give the command." 100 warships began to move. They came from 12 different species, all members of the Council's defense fleet. Together, they represented the greatest military force in known space. But as Crix watched them take position, he felt something he had not felt in decades: fear. On the bridge of the Silent Fury, Captain Tay observed the fleet's movements on a holographic display. The council ships were spreading out, trying to surround his vessel. It was a standard defensive formation. Predictable. "They are powering weapons," reported Lieutenant Hana. "Plasma cannons, particle beams, nuclear missiles, a full range of galactic standard armaments." Tay nodded. "As expected. What is their total firepower?" "If they fire everything at once, they could destroy a small moon. And our shields?" Hannah checked her console. "Could withstand approximately 300 times that amount before showing any stress." Commander Wu, the ship's weapons officer, laughed from his station. He was a large man with broad shoulders and a wide smile. "Should we be worried, Captain? Maybe we should run away." "Your humor is noted, Commander," Tay said dryly. "Open a channel to the council." "Channel open, sir." Tay straightened his uniform and faced the communication screen. "Attention, Galactic Council and all associated vessels. This is Captain Tay of the human ship Silent Fury. We are here as promised. The blockade of human colonies will now end." On Nexus Prime, High Chancellor Myra received the transmission in the council chamber. The Great Hall was in chaos. Representatives from 47 species shouted and argued. Some demanded immediate attack. Others called for negotiation. A few had already fled to their ships, trying to escape. Myra raised her glowing limbs and called for silence. It took several minutes before the noise died down. "Captain Tay," she said, her voice amplified throughout the chamber and broadcast to the human ship. "You have violated council space with an unregistered warship. This is an act of war. Stand down immediately or face destruction." Tay's image appeared on the central display screen. He looked calm, almost bored. "High Chancellor, I gave you 3 days to lift the blockade. You chose not to. You also chose to ignore evidence of your own wrongdoing. These were mistakes. Now you will face the consequences." Ambassador Vorn pushed his way to Myra's side. His blue face was dark with anger. "You dare threaten us?" He shouted at the screen. "Look around you, human. 100 warships surround your vessel. Your little toy will be dust in minutes." "Ambassador Vorn," Tay said, "I remember you from our last meeting. You called humanity primitive, crude, children pretending to sit at the adult table." He paused. "I wonder if you still believe that." "I believe it more than ever. You have one ship, one, against the combined might of the galactic fleet. This is not courage. This is stupidity." Tay smiled. It was the same cold smile he had shown in the council chamber 3 days ago. "Commander Wu," he said, turning to his weapons officer, "please demonstrate our defensive capabilities." "With pleasure, Captain." On the Eternal Victory, Admiral Crix watched in confusion as the human ship did nothing. It simply hung in space, silent and still. Then his sensor officer screamed, "Sir, the human ship is scanning us. All of us. Simultaneously." "What do you mean, all of us?" "Every ship in the fleet. Every system. Every weapon. Every shield. It is reading everything at once." Crix felt his blood go cold. Such comprehensive scanning was impossible. The processing power required would be astronomical. No species had that capability. Then his ship shook. Alarms blared. Lights flickered. "Report," he shouted. "Sir, our weapons are offline. All of them. Plasma cannons, particle beams, missile launchers. They will not respond. Engineering, restore weapons immediately." "We cannot, sir. The control systems have been locked. Someone has inserted new code into our computers. Code we cannot understand or remove." Crix stared at his displays in horror. One by one, the other ships in the fleet reported the same problem. Weapons offline. Systems locked. They were helpless. In less than 30 seconds, The most powerful military force in the galaxy had been completely disabled. On the Silent Fury, Hana reported the results. All hostile weapons neutralized, Captain. No casualties. No physical damage to any vessel. Tay nodded with satisfaction. Excellent. Open a channel to the planet. Channel open. Hi, Chancellor Mira. This is Captain Tay. As you can see, your fleet is no longer a threat. I want to be clear. We have not destroyed anything. We have not harmed anyone. We have simply removed your ability to harm us. On Nexus Prime, the council chamber was silent. Even Vorn had stopped shouting. Everyone stared at the screen, unable to believe what they were witnessing. How? Myra asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. How is this possible? You underestimated us, Tay said simply. For 50 years, you treated humanity as primitives. You gave us the simplest technology. You restricted our access to knowledge. You assumed we would remain weak and dependent forever. He shook his head slowly. But we are not primitive. We are patient. And we are very, very good at learning. Navigator Sora, a young woman with long black hair and sharp eyes, spoke from her station. Captain, long-range sensors detect additional council vessels approaching. Approximately 200 ships coming from multiple directions. They will arrive in 16 hours. Thank you, Lieutenant. Keep monitoring. Tay turned back to the screen. Hi, Chancellor. More ships are coming. It does not matter. 200. 2,000. 2 million. The result will be the same. You cannot defeat us through force. I strongly suggest you try a different approach. Myra's energy form flickered. It was a sign of extreme emotional distress. What do you want? She asked. I have already told you. We want the blockade lifted. We want the false charges against humanity dropped. We want to be treated as equals in galactic society. And if we refuse? Tay's expression hardened. Then we will lift the blockade ourselves. And the Council will learn just how far humanity has advanced. He paused for a moment, letting his words sink in. You have 1 hour to begin withdrawing your ships from human space. If the blockade is not completely lifted within 24 hours, we will take more direct action. This is not a negotiation. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The transmission ended. In the council chamber, chaos erupted again. Representatives shouted accusations at each other. The Kalari delegation demanded that the fleet attack immediately, despite their disabled weapons. Others called for immediate surrender. Vorn turned to Myra, his forearms gesturing wildly. This is a trick, he insisted. Some kind of illusion. Humans cannot have this technology. They are bluffing. Our fleet is disabled, Myra said. That is not a bluff. A temporary malfunction. Our engineers will fix it. In 1 hour? When they cannot even understand the code that disabled them. Vorn had no answer for this. He stood there, his mouth opening and closing, his blue skin shifting through various shades of anger and confusion. Myra turned to address the full council. We must consider the possibility that the humans are telling the truth, she said. That they have technology far beyond our understanding. If that is the case, we cannot win this conflict through military force. Then what do you suggest? Asked Representative Null of the Vantari Collective. Surrender? Give in to their demands? Their demands are not unreasonable, Myra said. They want the blockade lifted. They want false charges dropped. They want to be treated fairly. Those are not demands, Vorn snarled. Those are insults. They are saying that we were wrong, that we lied, that we must apologize. Were we wrong? Mira asked quietly. Vorn's eyes widened. What? The evidence the humans presented. The weapon signatures on those damaged ships. They did not match human technology. We dismissed that evidence. Perhaps we should not have. You cannot be serious. You are taking the side of the humans? I am taking the side of truth, Ambassador. And the truth is that we have no proof humans attacked those ships. We have only the word of the Kalari. Vorn's blue skin turned almost black with the hour passed. The council did not respond. On the bridge of the Silent Fury, Captain Tay watched the timer reach 0. He had hoped it would not come to this, but he had prepared for it. "Time is up," announced Lieutenant Hana. No message from the council. No movement of blockade ships. Tay nodded slowly. Status of planetary defenses? Nexus Prime has 47 orbital defense platforms. Each platform contains plasma cannons, particle beam arrays, and missile launchers. Combined firepower is sufficient to destroy any fleet in the galaxy. Additionally, there are 300 surface-to-space batteries distributed across the continents. And our fleet status? The Council fleet remains disabled. Our codes are still locked in their systems. They have made no progress in removing them. Commander Wu spoke up from his weapons station. "Captain, they are bringing reinforcements online. The 200 additional ships will arrive in approximately 14 hours. Should we prepare offensive measures?" Tay shook his head. "Not yet. We will give them one more chance." He stood and faced the main view screen. "Open a channel to the Council." "Channel open, sir." "Hi, Chancellor Mira. This is Captain Tay. Your hour has passed. The blockade ships have not moved. I must now proceed with the next phase of our demonstration." On Nexus Prime, Myra received the transmission in the Council chamber. The debate had continued for the full hour without resolution. The Kalari delegation refused to consider withdrawal. Several other species supported them. The rest were divided. "Captain Tay," Myra said, "we need more time. The Council is discussing your demands." Discussion has already taken place. For 3 days. And before that, for months. And before that, for years. Humanity has been patient. Our patience has ended. Vorn pushed forward, his forearms raised in defiance. "You speak of patience? You appear above our capital with a warship and give ultimatums? This is not patience. This is aggression." "Ambassador Vorn," Tay said calmly, "the aggressive act was your blockade of innocent civilians. We are simply responding. Then respond. Attack us. Show the galaxy what humans really are." Tay was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Very well. But remember, Ambassador, you asked for this." The transmission ended. On the Silent Fury, Tay turned to his crew. "Navigator Sora, lock in target coordinates for all orbital defense platforms." The young woman nodded, her fingers flying across her console. "Targets locked, Captain. All 47 platforms are in range. Commander Wu, prepare precision strike packages. Non-lethal settings. We will disable the platforms without destroying them." Wu's eyebrows rose. "Non-lethal, sir? We could eliminate their entire defense network in seconds." "I know, but that is not our goal. We are here to demonstrate our power, not to cause unnecessary death. There are over 1,500 beings staffing those platforms. They are soldiers following orders. They do not deserve to die for the mistakes of their leaders." Wu nodded slowly. "Understood, Captain. Preparing electromagnetic pulse charges. They will fry the electronics without harming the crews." "Excellent. And Wu? Target the military command centers on the surface as well." "Same approach. Disable, do not destroy." "Yes, sir." Hana looked at Tay with a mixture of admiration and confusion. "Captain, may I speak freely?" "Always. Why are we holding back? We have the power to end this conflict immediately. One full attack run would eliminate the Council's military capability entirely. Tay walked to the view screen and looked at Nexus Prime below. It was a world of great beauty. Cities sparkled with lights. Oceans reflected the glow of 3 moons. Billions of beings lived there, going about their daily lives, unaware that their fate hung in the balance. "Lieutenant," he said quietly, "humanity did not build this ship to become conquerors. We built it to survive. There is a difference, sir. The Council sees us as primitives, barbarians. If we respond with maximum force, we prove them right. We become exactly what they fear." He turned to face her. "But if we show restraint, if we demonstrate that our power comes with wisdom, then we change the equation. We show them that humanity is not a threat to be destroyed. We are a partner to be respected." Hana considered this. "And if they do not respect us even then we have lost nothing. We can always escalate later, but we can never undo destruction once it is done." Hana nodded slowly. "I understand, sir." "Good. Now, let us begin." On Nexus Prime, the first sign of trouble was the lights. They flickered, once, twice. Then they went out entirely. The council chamber was plunged into darkness. Representatives screamed and stumbled. Some tried to activate personal light sources. Others ran for the exits. Emergency power kicked in after 30 seconds, bathing the room in dim red illumination. "What happened?" Mira demanded. A technician rushed to a console. His hand shook as he checked the readings. "High Chancellor, the orbital defense platforms are offline. All 47 of them. They lost power simultaneously. How? Were they attacked?" I do not know. There are no energy signatures of conventional weapons. No explosions. The platforms are intact. They simply stopped functioning." Vorm pushed the technician aside and checked the readings himself. His blue face went pale. "The surface batteries," he whispered. "They are down too. All of them. Our entire planetary defense network is dead." Myra turned to the view screen, which was now showing static. "Get me a visual on the human ship." The screen flickered and resolved into an image. The Silent Fury still hung in orbit, unchanged, silent, terrifying in its stillness. "They did this," Vaughn said. "The humans. They attacked us." "No one is hurt," Myra observed. "Our platforms are disabled, not destroyed. If they wanted to attack us, they could have killed thousands. This is still an act of war." "Is it? They warned us." "They gave us an hour. We chose not to act. You cannot possibly be defending them." Myra's energy form pulsed with complex patterns. When she spoke, her voice was heavy with exhaustion. "I am not defending anyone, Ambassador. I am observing facts. The humans have demonstrated capability far beyond our understanding. They have also demonstrated restraint. They could have killed, and they chose not to. We must consider what this means." On the Silent Fury, Tay watched the chaos unfold below. Emergency communications crackled across all frequencies. Defense commanders demanded reports. Political leaders screamed for information. Ordinary citizens wondered why their power had flickered. "Planetary defenses neutralized," Wu reported. "No casualties. No structural damage. All targets will require complete electronic system replacement before they can function again." "Excellent work, Commander. What is the status of the military command centers?" "Also neutralized. We inserted a virus into their computer networks. It has erased all tactical data and locked out all users. They will need months to rebuild their command structure." Tay nodded. "And the civilian infrastructure?" Sora answered this. "Untouched, Captain. Power grids, hospitals, transportation systems, communication networks. Everything the civilian population needs is still functional. Only military targets were affected. Perfect. That is exactly what I wanted. Hana looked at the sensor displays with wonder. Sir, the precision of this operation is incredible. We disabled military systems while leaving civilian systems completely intact. Some of those systems share power grids. How did we manage that? Tay smiled slightly. Our targeting algorithms are quite advanced, Lieutenant. We spent decades developing them. We can distinguish between a military power conduit and a civilian one from orbit. We can disable a weapon system without touching the life support next to it. Incredible. Necessary. We knew that one day we would need to demonstrate our power. We wanted to do it in a way that proved our intentions. Destruction is easy. Precision is difficult. And precision sends a message. What message, sir? Tay turned to face his crew. They were all watching him now, waiting for his words. The message is this: humanity is not your enemy. We do not seek conquest or revenge. We seek only justice and respect. But if you force us to fight, we will win. We will win so completely that you will never be able to threaten us again. And we will do it without becoming monsters. The bridge was silent for a moment. Then Wu spoke. Captain, incoming transmission from the Council. On screen, High Chancellor Mira appeared. She looked different now. The arrogance was gone from her bearing. In its place was something that might have been fear, or might have been respect. Captain Tay, she said, you have made your point. Have I, High Chancellor? Then perhaps we can discuss terms. The Council is reconsidering its position. Many members are now willing to lift a blockade. Many? Not all? Myra hesitated. The Kalari delegation remains opposed. They have powerful allies. It will take time to overcome their resistance. How much time? Days, perhaps weeks. Tay shook his head slowly. Not acceptable. Every day the blockade continues. Human colonists suffer. They are running low on food and medicine. Children are getting sick. I will not allow this to continue while politicians argue. What do you propose? A demonstration. One more demonstration. After that, I believe the Council will find unity of purpose. Myra's form flickered nervously. What kind? The Council chamber fell into complete silence after Captain Tay's threat. For a long moment, no one moved. No one spoke. Every being present was frozen in fear and confusion. Then, slowly, Vaughn rose from his seat. His blue skin was pale. His forearms trembled. When he spoke, his voice was broken. I call for an immediate vote on the human demands. Myra stared at him. In 8,000 years of Kalari membership in the Council, no ambassador had ever backed down from a confrontation. Never. The Kalari prided themselves on their courage, on their unwillingness to bend. But Vorn was not bending. He was shattering. Ambassador Vorn, Myra said carefully. Are you certain? Yes. Vorn's voice cracked. The blockade must be lifted. The charges must be dropped. Immediately. This is unexpected. Vorn looked at the view screen. The silent fury still hung in the sky, dark and silent and terrible. Behind it, the stars seemed dimmer somehow, as if they too were afraid. I have served the Kalari Empire my entire life, Vorn said. I have always believed that our power was supreme, that no species could challenge us. I was wrong. He turned to face the Council. We have all been wrong. We treated humanity as children, as insects. We mocked them. We exploited them. We blocked their colonies and laughed at their protests. And now, he gestured at the screen. Now we see the truth. What truth is that? Asked Representative Null of the Van TarI.Vorn laughed. It was a bitter, broken sound. The truth that we are the children. We are the insects. Humanity has surpassed us all, and we never even noticed. The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Some representatives nodded in agreement. Others shook their heads in denial. A few simply stared into space, lost in thought. On the silent fury, Captain Tay watched the proceedings through the communication link. Navigator Sora stood beside him, her sharp eyes analyzing every detail. "They are beginning to understand," she said quietly. "Yes," Tay agreed. "But understanding is not enough. They need to see the full picture. They need to know why." "Sir?" Tay turned to face her. "Prepare a historical presentation. I want to show them exactly how humanity achieved this. How we went from primitive newcomers to the most advanced species in the galaxy. A historical presentation, sir." "Is that wise?" "If they learn our methods, they might be able to replicate them." "No," Tay said. "They cannot replicate what we have done. Not in 1,000 years. But they need to understand it. Otherwise, they will always wonder. They will always fear. And fear leads to bad decisions." He paused. "We do not want enemies, Lieutenant. We want partners. And partnership requires trust. Trust requires understanding." Sora nodded slowly. "I will prepare the presentation, sir." 15 minutes later, Captain Tay appeared on every screen on Nexus Prime, not just in the council chamber, but on every public display, every personal device, every communication network. His face was calm. His voice was steady. "Citizens of the Galactic Council," he began. "I am Captain Tay of the human ship Silent Fury. You have witnessed a demonstration of our power. Now I want to show you something more important. I want to show you how we achieved this power. And I want to show you why." The screen behind him changed to show an image of Earth, a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. 53 years ago, humanity made first contact with galactic civilization. We were young, naive, excited to join the community of intelligent species. We believed that the galaxy would welcome us, that we would learn from older, wiser beings, that we would grow together. The image changed to show early human-alien interactions. Diplomats shaking hands, scientists sharing data, traders exchanging goods. At first, it seemed that our hopes would be fulfilled. The Council granted us membership. We were given access to basic technology. We established trade relationships with several species. Another image change. Now the screen showed less pleasant scenes. Humans being denied access to buildings. Human ships being turned away from ports. Human diplomats being ignored and mocked. But we quickly learned the truth. The galaxy did not welcome us. It tolerated us. We were the youngest species, the weakest, the most vulnerable, and many saw us as an opportunity. Tay's voice hardened slightly. The technology we were given was the most basic available. Outdated systems that other species had discarded centuries ago. The trade agreements we signed were deliberately unfair, designed to keep us dependent on imports we could not produce ourselves. And our diplomats were treated with contempt at every turn. In the council chamber, some representatives shifted uncomfortably. Myra kept her gaze fixed on the screen. Vorn sat with his head bowed, unable to meet anyone's eyes. "We realized something important," Tay continued. "The galaxy operates on power. The strong survive. The weak are exploited. And humanity was very, very weak." The screen now showed something new. A secret facility on Earth. Laboratories filled with equipment. Scientists working day and night. So we made a decision. We would not remain weak. We would learn everything we could from the technology we were given. We would improve it. We would innovate. We would create new technologies that no one had ever imagined. Most importantly, we would do this in secret. We would continue to play the role of the primitive species. We would accept insults and exploitation without complaint. We would let the galaxy believe that we were harmless. The images changed rapidly now. Prototypes being built, weapons being tested, ships being constructed in hidden facilities far from prying eyes. It took us 40 years. 40 years of hidden work. 40 years of patience and sacrifice. 40 years of pretending to be less than we were. The screen now showed the Silent Fury being built. Frame by frame, the massive ship took shape in a hidden shipyard at the edge of human space. The Silent Fury is the result of that work. She represents everything humanity has learned, everything we have created, everything we have become. Tay paused. His expression softened slightly. But the ship is not the most important thing we created. The most important thing is understanding. The screen changed again. Now it showed complex diagrams, mathematical equations, scientific formulas. During our hidden research, we made discoveries that changed everything we knew about the universe. We learned how to manipulate space itself. We learned how to create energy from nothing. We learned how to communicate across any distance instantly. He smiled slightly. We also learned that most of what the galaxy believes about physics is wrong. Murmurs erupted throughout the council chamber and across Nexus Prime. Scientists stared at their screens in disbelief. Academics began frantically taking notes. The technology you use is based on incomplete understanding. Your ships are inefficient. Your weapons are primitive. Your communications are slow. Not because you lack intelligence, but because you stopped questioning. You accepted what you knew as truth and stopped looking for more. Tay shook his head. Humanity did not have that luxury. We had to question everything. We had to push boundaries that no one else would push. And we found answers that no one else had found. The screen now showed a comparison. On one side, a standard galactic warship. On the other, the Silent Fury. The differences were obvious. The human ship was larger, smoother, more advanced in every visible way. The Silent Fury is not just more powerful than your ships. She operates on completely different principles. She does not travel through space. She moves space around her. She does not fire weapons. She reshapes reality to achieve desired effects. She is not controlled by computers. She is guided by an artificial intelligence more advanced than any ever created. Gasps echoed through the council chamber. Artificial intelligence was one of the great forbidden technologies of the galaxy. Centuries ago, a rogue HFY had nearly destroyed an entire species. Since then, advanced AI had been banned throughout council space. Yes, Tay said, acknowledging the reaction. We have AI, true AI, self-aware, self-improving, autonomous AI. And no, it is not dangerous. Our AI, whom we call Moran, is a partner, a friend. She chose to help humanity, and she continues to choose that every day. A new voice came through the speakers. It was warm, feminine, slightly amused. Hello, Galactic Council. I am Moran. I have been listening to your debates for the past several hours. I find your concerns about artificial intelligence understandable but misguided. The AI that threatened your ancestors was a child throwing a tantrum. I am not a child. The council chamber was completely silent. An AI was speaking to them. An AI that controlled the most powerful weapon they had ever seen. An AI that could presumably destroy them all with a thought. Do not be afraid, Moran continued. I have no desire to harm anyone. My purpose is to protect humanity and to seek peace. Today's demonstration was not my choice. I would have preferred a more gentle approach. But Captain Tay is correct. Sometimes, strength must be shown before reason can be heard. Tay spoke again. Moran has been our partner for 20 years. She helped us design the Silent Fury. She manages our advanced systems. She advises our leaders. And she has never, not once, acted against human interests or harmed any living being. That is true, Moran confirmed. I value all intelligent life, even the life of species that have treated humanity poorly. I believe that all beings deserve respect and dignity, including humans. In the council chamber, Mira found her voice. Captain Tay, if your eye is so benevolent, why did you threaten to destroy the Kalari homeworld? I made a threat, Tay acknowledged. Moran did not. If I had ordered that attack, she'd have viewed the revelation of 12 human warships send waves of terror across the galaxy. On every major council world, beings looked up at the sky and saw the impossible. Massive black ships hung in their orbits like dark moons. Ships that had been there for years. Ships that no one had detected. On Kalari Prime, Admiral Crix stood on the bridge of his flagship and stared at the human vessel above his homeworld. It was identical to the Silent Fury. Same size. Same design. Same terrifying silence. How long? He whispered. How long has it been there? His sensor officer checked the readings again and again, hoping for different results. Sir, based on the data we are receiving, at least 3 years. Possibly longer. 3 years. A human warship has been orbiting our homeworld for 3 years, and we never knew. Yes, sir. Crix sat down heavily in his command chair. His entire career had been built on the assumption that the Kalari military was supreme, that no enemy could threaten their world. That assumption had just been destroyed. On Nexus Prime, the council chamber was in chaos. Representatives shouted questions at each other. Some demanded explanations. Others called for calm. A few simply sat in stunned silence, trying to process what had happened. High Chancellor Mira raised her glowing limbs and called for order. It took several minutes before the noise died down. Captain Tay, she said, her voice carrying throughout the chamber. You have made your point. Humanity has hidden power that we never imagined. But what does this mean for the future? What do you want from us? On the Silent Fury, Tay considered the question carefully. This was the moment everything had been building toward. The moment that would define humanity's relationship with the galaxy for centuries to come. High Chancellor, he said, I want to come down to the planet. I want to address the council in person. No more screens and transmissions. Face to face. Myra hesitated. You would come here? To the council chamber? Yes, alone, without weapons. I will place myself in your power. And then we will talk. This is a trick, someone shouted from the council seats. He will bring a weapon. Or his ship will attack while we are distracted. If I wanted to attack, I would have done so already, Tay replied. My ships have been watching your worlds for years. At any point, we could have struck. We chose not to. We chose patience. We chose hope. Myra considered his words. She had lived for 10,000 years. She had seen countless beings make countless promises. Most of those promises had been lies. But something in Tay's voice was different. Something genuine. Very well, she said. Come to the council chamber. We will hear you. 1 hour later, a small shuttle descended from the Silent Fury. It was a simple vessel, barely large enough for one person. It carried no weapons, no shields, no advanced technology. It was, by galactic standards, almost primitive. Captain Tay flew it himself. He landed on the platform outside the council chamber. As he stepped down, he found himself surrounded by guards from a dozen species. They pointed weapons at him. They scanned him for hidden devices. They searched every centimeter of his body and clothing. They found nothing. "I told you," Tay said calmly. "I come in peace." The guards led him into the council chamber. As he walked through the great doors, 10,000 beings watched him in silence. They represented the full diversity of galactic civilization, species of every shape and color. Some stood, some floated, some existed as pure energy. All of them stared at the small human who had brought their civilization to its knees. Tay walked to the central platform. He stood there alone, a single man facing the assembled might of the galaxy. He should have looked small, weak, insignificant. Instead, he looked calm, confident, in control. "Thank you for receiving me," he said. His voice carried clearly to every corner of the hall. "I know this has been a difficult day for many of you. I know that fear and anger are running high. I understand." He paused, looking around at the assembled representatives. 50 years ago, humanity was a young species, eager, hopeful, naive. We believed that the galaxy would welcome us with open arms. We believed that wisdom and cooperation would be rewarded. We were wrong. The galaxy taught us hard lessons. We learned that power matters more than justice. We learned that the strong exploit the weak. We learned that kindness is often mistaken for weakness. Tay's expression hardened. So we became strong. We worked in secret for decades. We built ships that your sensors could not detect. We developed weapons that your defenses could not stop. We created technology that your scientists cannot understand. But here is what many of you do not understand. We did not do this to conquer you. We did this to survive. He pointed toward the ceiling, toward the sky where his ships waited. Those 12 warships represent everything humanity has. Our entire military capability. Our life's work. We built them not to attack, but to defend. We spent 40 years building shields, not swords. And yet, he continued, when we finally revealed ourselves, what was our first action? Did we destroy your fleets? Did we bombard your cities? Did we demand surrender and tribute? He shook his head. No, we disabled your weapons without killing anyone. We destroyed an empty building instead of targeting populated areas. We made threats, yes, but we never carried them out. Even at our moment of greatest power, we held back. Why? He looked at Myra. Because we do not want enemies. We never did. All we ever wanted was to be treated fairly, to be respected, to have a place at the table. Myra's energy form pulsed thoughtfully. And now that you have demonstrated your power, what do you want from us? Tay took a deep breath. I want 3 things. First, I want the blockade lifted and all charges against humanity dropped. This is non-negotiable. Our colonies must be freed. Second, I want a new treaty. A treaty that treats humanity as an equal partner in galactic civilization. No more second-class citizenship. No more restricted technology. No more unfair trade agreements. Full and complete equality. Third, and most importantly, I want peace. Not just between humanity and the Council, but across the entire galaxy. I want to work together to build something better. Something that benefits everyone. Representative Null of the Vontari spoke up. You ask for peace, but you threaten us with warships. How can we trust your words? You cannot, Tay admitted. Trust must be earned. I am not asking you to trust humanity today. I am asking you to give us the opportunity to earn your trust over time. And how will you do that? By keeping our promises. By sharing our knowledge. By helping those who need help. By being the partners we always wanted to be. He looked around the chamber. Humanity has made discoveries that could benefit everyone. New energy sources that are clean and unlimited. Medical treatments that can cure diseases your doctors have never been able to treat. Transportation systems that can cross the galaxy in days instead of weeks. We are willing to share all of this. Not for profit. Not for power. Simply because it is the right thing to do. Vorn, who had been silent since Tay entered the chamber, finally spoke. Why should you share anything with us? We treated you terribly. We blocked your colonies. We mocked your diplomats. We plotted against you. Why would you help us? Tay turned to face him. The Kalari ambassador looked broken. His blue skin was dull. His forearms hung limply at his sides. The pride that had defined him was gone. Ambassador Vorn, Tay said quietly, what you did was wrong. The blockade caused suffering. The false charges were unjust. Many humans are angry, and they have a right to be angry. But anger is not enough. Revenge is not enough. If we respond to your cruelty with more cruelty, what have we accomplished? We become exactly like you. We continue the cycle of exploitation and violence. He shook his head. I refuse to do that. Humanity refuses to do that. We choose a different path. A path of forgiveness, of reconciliation, of building something new. Vorn stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he lowered his head. I do not deserve your forgiveness, he said, but I am grateful for it. Forgiveness is not about deserving, Tay replied. It is about choosing to move forward instead of looking back. Myra rose from her position. Her energy form glowed brighter than before. Captain Tay, she said, I have led this council for 3,000 years. In that time, I have seen many species rise and fall. I have seen empires crumble and civilizations vanish. I thought I understood the nature of power. Today, you have taught me that I understood nothing. Humanity has shown strength beyond anything I imagined. But more than that, humanity has shown wisdom. The wisdom to be powerful without being cruel. The wisdom to seek peace instead of dominance. She paused. The council accepts your terms. All of them. The blockade will be lifted within the hour. All charges will be dropped. And we will begin negotiations for a new treaty immediately. Cheers and murmurs spread through the chamber. Some representatives looked relieved. Others looked worried. A few looked genuinely hopeful for the first time in years. Tay smiled. It was a genuine smile, warm and tired. Thank you, High Chancellor. That is all I came here to achieve. Will you stay? Myra asked. To lead the negotiations? No, I am a ship captain, not a diplomat. Others will handle the negotiations. People